Does anyone still believe in paradise?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jenleeion Circle. I'm Mario Bonds. I'm really excited to talk to the guest that we have today. Michelle Taylor Willis is a force to be reckoned with. I think she's considered gold in Atlanta, an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, a TV personality, a radio host, a strategist, and an ambassador. It seems that there is nothing she can't do. And also an author with a book she recently released about raising children. I look forward to getting into it. But first, I'll say, Michelle, how are you doing today?
I am great. It's Friday on a short week. It feels like Thursday, so I'm still trying to get my bearings. But I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Mario? You look amazeballs.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try to keep myself together, even though I can't look in the mirror like the rest of you guys.
Well, I mean, listen, if half the people walked around looking like you, they wouldn't need to see because, you know.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I mean, about you, my goodness, when do you have time to sleep? You know, we'll first speak to the fact that you own your own media company called Gagnet Media, right?
Yeah.
I want to start there. Where did the media bug first bite, and when did that start for you?
So I bought a magazine with a business partner of mine about 7.5 years ago. The magazine was a month old, and it was presented to me as a revenue generator. It was a month old. The woman that started the magazine, I think, was like, this isn't the business for me. And so she decided to put it up for sale after only 1 month in publication. And at the time, to be frank, Mario, I was like, I'm not in the publishing business. I don't know anything about running a magazine, but I do know business and I know good numbers when I see them. And so I decided to partner with a friend of mine and we bought the magazine. And when I bought the magazine, I tell this story all the time. When we bought it, he said, this magazine is going to make you like a national household name. And I was like, you're being very dramatic right now, friend. I mean, I said, I'll buy it with you. Like, seriously, like, don't oversell it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think he might have been right, because the magazine is really kind of what opened up this whole media, or my entree into the media space. I mean, I was telling this story last night. I was meeting with some people from LA and they were asking the same question. And it was like, I really just was known for years as the magazine lady, right? The magazine lady. And then over the course of a year, we branched out into TV and radio and billboards. And then all of a sudden it was like, we had this media empire. So I guess the bug started, hitting about a year into the magazine business, because I actually started another magazine from scratch down in Fayette County, which I actually sold that business, and that magazine is still in publication today. That was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
But I like business. I'm a business person.
Yeah.
And once I get into the business of how things are done, and I can match that with the passion, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like game over, lights out. Once I figure it out, I'm going to just destroy it. It kind of just is what it is.
Yeah. And obviously I'm a believer that passion is what has to drive anything. Passion is sort of something that you will do in your sleep, whether you're being paid or not.
That's exactly right.
And to that end, talking about TV and radio, you've taken that passion to those mediums with According to Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about According to Michelle, the TV show that you currently have. And then I do understand that you also have a radio arm of that that is online. So let's talk about those two shows and where people can watch them.
Yeah. So According to Michelle is a TV show where I basically interview national magnets, so to speak, celebrities, entertainers, singers, actors, politicians, business owners, business aficionados, anybody that has kind of a national footprint that's doing amazing things, we expose. And a lot of those people are very well known, and some of them aren't, but they're doing amazing things, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's the TV show. But one thing I do want to be really clear about, Mario, and I say this a lot, is that, you know, my expansion into the media space and the production space was really, it was intentional happenstance. Man, I have to write that down. Those are good
Intentional
words. That's like
happenstance.
wordsmithing, isn't it? Intentional
happenstance. I love it, but I'm going to call it, it's permissively oxymoronic, though.
Oh my
fits.
gosh, look at you. You trying to match my wordsmith?
I think that's excellent, though. Fantastic. So intentional happenstance. I love that. Pure by happenstance. Go ahead.
Yeah, intentional happenstance. And so what I mean by that is I've become, you know, this media personality because of what I've done in the media, in the advertising space around media. So let me explain. What happened is these expansions and these arms in this space happen as a result of me growing an advertising media company, a media company built around selling ads. That's what we do, right? Ganyo Media is a business built around creating affordable, quality advertising opportunities for small businesses. That's what we do. And I remind my team about this, even when we have wrap parties for According to Michelle. I ask them, I say, team, what do we do? And they say, we sell ads, right? We don't create beautiful editorial in a magazine. I mean, we do, but you know, we don't have a great TV show where Michelle interviews celebrities, right? We do those things, but we do it to sell ads. And so everything was an extension of how can we sell more ads? Oh, let's create a radio show to sell ads on the radio. Oh, let's get into the billboard space so we can sell ads on billboards. Oh, you got a TV show, let's sell ads. Let's teach Michelle to sell ads on TV. And that's how it happened. So that part was intentional. The happenstance was I kind of became or am becoming this media, the on-camera personality or over-the-air personality as a result of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And so that's the intentional, you know, happenstance piece of it. You know, it's been a great ride, but According to Michelle really was, you know, a producer who saw me and said, you should be on camera, which is something I've really kind of always wanted to do. I just didn't know how it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you should be on camera. I just got this, a new producer role here at a local network here. I want to bring your radio show and make it a TV show. And she was like, I'm going to show you how to sell ads on a TV show built around you. And that's really how it happened. And According to Michelle was born. I think actually the person that I partnered with in the magazine is the person that came up with the name According to Michelle. Or we were kind of bouncing it off. I don't know if I want to give her all the credit for it, but
that's awesome. Yeah, and that resonates with me, you know, because it's one of the things that in terms of media, I've always had dreams in media since I was a child. And I went to school and I got a degree in journalism, et cetera. But I kind of sat on it for a while until, you know, did things here and there, but sat on it while I was out there singing instead. And then when my sister started Jenleeion, you know, the idea that she would have been the one to bring me to people like you and other celebrities that I've been able to interview as well, I would have pinched myself. So I appreciate that phraseology, intentional happenstance, because that's truly how things can happen sometimes. And obviously your work has taken you to the Tamron Hall show. It's had you on the OWN Network and beyond. So you have definitely been making your rounds. But I want to discuss your strategy as a business owner later in the interview. But first, I'd like to go to a topic that is near and dear to me, and I'm pretty sure near and dear to our audience, and that is motherhood, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I see that motherhood is definitely your favorite job, right?
It is. It really is. 98% of the time. Sometimes these kids,
Oh, look, I know.
Do you have kids, Mario?
Interestingly, yes, I adopted four kids before I
Oh,
could have
wow.
biological kids, and I still want to have biological kids. So I'm in the market for you know,
Yeah.
but
Okay, we're gonna turn this
it,
into the dating game, love match, Jen
but
Leon.
yeah, but in the meantime, I adopted two younger kids. I have a 9 and 11-year-old, and at 34 years old, I have a 18 and another one that's getting ready to turn 20 next
Wow,
week. And so, the
wow.
way I always tell people is that in adopting two older kids and two younger kids, the two older ones think I know nothing, and the two younger ones think I know everything. So that means I'm doing a good job.
That's right. You got it covered, friend. You got it covered. You figured
So
it
with
out.
so with
Yeah.
that being said, you've taken your experience with motherhood and you've put it in a book, right? That talks about, and it's an important book because raising kids in this climate is incredible. So I'd like for you to give people the title because I want you to immediately give the definition to that title, especially in the
Got it.
context of significance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
resilience, right? Go ahead.
Thank you for that. Raising Significance, an MTW's Guide to Raising Independent, Well-Rounded, and Confident Kids is the title. And when I speak, I'm also a speaker. I deliver keynotes and commencement addresses and things like that. But I have a talk basically about significance and the difference between success and significance. And in short, success is when you've achieved what you wanted to achieve for you and your immediate circle,
Mm,
right? Significance is when you basically use your success to impact as many people as possible. Significance is really about people that you have no idea that you can impact that you do, and you're intentional about that. Success is about you arriving, right?
yeah.
In my definition, right? Success is you have a great job, you're making your cool six figures, you got two and a half kids, you got a cool house, white picket fence, you have cookouts on the weekends with your
Yeah,
neighbors.
two
Things
and a
are
half
good.
kids, the half is the dog, right?
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and significance is when you take that 15 steps further and say, how am I going to change the world with the success that I've had?
Mm,
Right. And my tagline, as you probably know, and this is on just about all of my socials, empowering people to empower people. That's what I do. If somebody
I
walks up to
love
me
that.
and
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, if somebody walks up to me and they say, "What do you do?" I say, "I empower people to empower people." I do it in different ways through media, right? Um, and so it's this realm of significance that I believe that we should all play in so that the world can really be a better place. But unfortunately, most people are comfortable with success, and the world is in shambles from my perspective
Yeah.
because there are successful people that should be significant that are just successful. All right.
Mm.
So if we take that a step further and we look at our kids, it's about how do we raise children that have the potential to change the world. And
Wow.
that's why it's called raising significance because it's independent, well rounded, confident, because those are all the things you need to be able to go out and empower people to empower people.
And I
Does that
and I
make sense?
love that because it really drives home this part that a piece of what should be in society that we've lost, but you and I share is this sort of collectivistic thinking, right?
Yes.
In terms of that we all are community and go out and change the world. And as you reach those heights and reach your successes, go ahead and push that forward by changing the world. And in so doing, that's how you live purpose.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what are three things that you have done habitually, whether in conversation or in practice, that you've done with your kids to further that theme in your lives as you're raising them?
Um, yeah, great question. So a couple of these things, obviously, I talk in the book. One is telling your children who they are before they become those people, because these are
Mm,
things that we should do. Example, I'll give you a couple of examples. One, when I had the magazine, I told you, we had the magazine and I was known as the magazine lady. And about, I guess, 2, 3 years or something, I started telling myself I own a media company. At the
Mm.
time, I had a publishing company. And I don't know why I started saying I own a media company. I guess God was just kind of like giving me little feeders into the future or something. I don't know. But I just started saying I own a media company. I own a media company. I own a media company. And then I own a media company now. Um, the craziest thing, right? But I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in positive affirmations and affirmations, and that we have to tell ourselves who we are, what we have before we become those people or before we have those things. And we really have the power to manifest. And our
Yeah.
children are the same thing. My second example is ever since my children were like baby, they couldn't even talk. I've been speaking affirmations over them. And then once they got to the point to where they could speak, they began saying affirmations that I would give them. And once they came of their own minds and began to feel like they knew what they wanted to become, I had them create their own affirmations. So for the last, let's see, I have a 23-year-old. I didn't start affirmations with him until he was a little later in life because I didn't know. But with the three younger ones, my oldest of the three younger ones is 15. And so for the last 15 years, we've been saying affirmations. And some of those affirmations are, I am a soldier of God. One day, everybody's going to know my name. I am the leader. I am the employer. I own the business. Um, those kinds of things, right? I am the
Yeah.
success. I am the victor. And so we say these things like literally every night. And again, first I would say them and then they would be able to recite them. So they say, and it got to the point where I didn't even have to finish. I would just say, I am, and they say, soldier of God, all these things. Um, and so these kids, like my kids, and they're not perfect. Don't get me wrong, they're still kids.
Of
Discipline
course.
still happens in this house. Punishment still happens in this house. I'm not saying this exonerates them from, um, you know, from anything, but
Right. But it's
um,
essential pieces of character building. Yes.
it's the essential pieces of character building, right? So that's the first thing, building this confidence in them that they can basically do anything or be anything. The second thing that I love is, and it sounds very basic, but
Hmm.
it's putting children in piano, like giving them piano lessons and starting them very early in piano, early in life, like at 5. All of my children started, even the 23-year-old, they started piano lessons somewhere between the ages of 5 and 7. 5 is like the youngest I would do it. 6, 7 is a really good age.
As a
The reason,
pianist, I get it. It already speaks
oh
volume.
yes,
Yeah, it speaks volumes to me because my goodness, the amount of discipline, right, that goes into being able to learn how the piano and the meticulousness about the art has such transferable themes to life. I get it.
yes, yes, you get it right. So people think a small-minded person might say, and I get it because I've been small-minded and I am sometimes still small-minded in certain things, right? Um, but might think piano, like what long-reaching positive ramifications could piano have? But to your point, it teaches discipline, it teaches math. Like think
Hmm.
about it, and this, right? As a
The
6 year
theory,
old,
yeah,
yeah, you have to learn how to add beats very quickly, right?
yeah,
Um, and so we all know that classical music is a precursor for excellent math and science skills. There's
yes,
several studies that have been done on that. So to that end, when my kids were babies, even in the womb, I played classical music for them in the womb. And then up until they were about 2 years old, while they would sleep at night, I would always play Mozart and all kinds of classical music for them just to get those synapses firing.
yeah.
Um, and again, like you said, discipline is huge because they have to sit. Like when they're 5 and 6, we did 10-minute lessons. But once they get 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, they become 30-minute lessons. And you have to be disciplined to sit there and take instruction from a teacher, and then eventually, do your own lessons. My 13-year-old, my 10-year-old makes fun of it. My 11-year-old makes fun of my 13-year-old because he's on the piano often. And he'll be like, I think Tristan's addicted to the piano. Like he just, but it develops their own discipline. So I don't even have to tell them to go practice piano anymore. And as a result, as you know, piano is kind of like the gateway, the gateway instrument. So if you can play piano, you can play anything. So my 15-year-old, my 23-year-old can still play piano, although he doesn't like it and doesn't want to admit it. My 15-year-old plays the piano, the clarinet, and the saxophone. My 13-year-old plays the piano and he's self-taught on the guitar. And he can play like beautiful music. And my 11-year-old is still playing around on the piano, but he's coming. So anyway, that was a long answer to your question, but those are two examples of...
No, I think it's great. And now I want number 3 because I'm intrigued. Because I said 3. Don't think I forget. I'm a good journalist.
You are. Yes. You're like, I did say 3, didn't I? The third one I would say, because there's 8 tenets in the book.
Right.
The third one I would say is bringing children into your world. And that's important because as a parent, we can get lost in our children.
Right.
When you get lost in your children, it's hard for you to come back and focus on self.
Absolutely.
So we need ways to incorporate children into our lives that will develop long life lessons for them, that will also be helpful to us so that we can achieve our goals and our path to significance and give us some relief as well.
Absolutely.
Example, as a business owner, during the summer and, spring breaks and things like that, I have my children work with me and for me in the business, even as like 6, 7-year-olds. I have them sort mail. I have them put stamps on mail. I've had starting about 10, 11 years, they develop spreadsheets. They proofread my book, the book that you read, Raising Significance. I had them all proofread the book.
Oh, and were they upset were they irritated by any anecdotal?
No. And I actually asked them, Mario, I said, listen, is there anything did I exaggerate anything here? Is this all true? Is this how you guys recall it? And they're like, yeah, no, it's spot on.
You know what's great about that is that resonates with me because one of the things I've always done with my kids, I've always said that I want you guys to express yourself. You guys are human beings and you have opinions and you have feelings too. I'm not the kind of dad where I'm not going to respect your feelings. I want you to always express your feelings as long as you're respectful. And so what I like of what you've done is by taking the book and allowing them to read it, you brought them into the process, right? And you legitimized them by allowing them to have a voice in it. I think that's excellent.
That's exactly right. And they need that because they need to feel it. And they can be respectful in their communication, to your point. My kids will I know when I hear, I don't mean to be disrespectful, Mom, but I'm like, oh gosh, what you about to say?
Yeah, when it comes with a but. Oh, you know what? It's just funny because that cracks me up because my 18-year-old is famous for saying, the way he says it is, Dad, I'm not trying to be respectful, but it's like,
exactly.
What's coming?
It's like, okay, what are you about to say that could get you in some serious hot water?
Right. Do I need to can I leave my safety on?
Exactly. Because they're about to hit you with something. But yeah, it's good for them and it's helpful for us, right? Like I like triathlons. I'm a triathlete, amateur triathlete, and I need to train. And so I used to I got my kids swimming lessons so that they could come and train at the pool with me. So now I can train, I can spend time with them. I'm bringing them into my world, but it's making them better also.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I wish I
had on swim team now and all that. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
And for that reason, I wish I had spoken to you years ago, because for me, I guess it was about 2.5 years ago, where he's 18 now, but when he was 16, music's my world. I love music. I write it. It's creative and stuff. But, I hadn't been writing for a while. And I had this 16-year-old who kept walking around saying, Dad, I want to do rap. I want to do rap. I want to do rap. And of course, in my head, I'm thinking, God, every kid says they want to do rap. Leave me alone, boy, please get away from me, that sort of thing. Right. And then eventually he successfully persuaded me to give him a chance. And then here we are 2 years later, we actually have an incredible chemistry with actually being able to write music together. Right.
Wow.
And that's, yeah. So to your point about bringing your kids into your world, it's like, now my son lives in my world and I live in his world when it comes to that musical piece of it. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because it goes back to that earlier theme of discipline. Now I'm able to be tough with him and say, you're supposed to be passionate about this, or you need to go right. You need to do this. You know what I mean? It all bleeds together. So your information is so important. This is really important.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I say, I always, and I put this disclaimer in the book, it's not perfect. They're not perfect. They still get in trouble. But they're respectful. They're confident. They're well-rounded. They're exposed.
And I'm pretty sure. And what jumps out at me is like, okay, yeah, we write music together. We write lyrics together. We have fun together. But at the end of the day, please remember,
we're not friends.
That you still should respect me, because I break my neck to support you, sir.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you have that with your kids.
I tell my kids, we're friendly. We're friendly like.
Yeah.
But we're not friends. We are not friends.
Makes me think of one of my Jamaican friends that says, I love the kids so much, but if you catch me wrong. That's fantastic. But the other piece of you that is fascinating, and I teased it earlier, and I want to come back to it, is, again, as a business strategist, right? You've obviously had some success you gave us that anecdotal example of intentional, pure by happenstance of using the vehicle of TV and using the vehicle of radio to sell more ads, et cetera. But you believe in being able to spread that, as you said, help the world. Talk to me about your skills around strategizing for other people and helping other people strategize.
Yeah. So, how you say like the hairdresser's hair is never done, the nail tech's nails always look a mess. I probably do a better job for other people than I do for myself, which is why I haven't.
You know what? That's all of us.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, seriously. I have an organizational consultant right now that we brought in to the media company to help us like get some things in line, right? But my entrepreneurial career really blossomed when I was doing, business consulting and setting up businesses. Like I created models and businesses for people for years, mainly in the medical space. And I think, my mom is an entrepreneur, and I grew up watching her build business and grow business for herself and for others. And so that probably gave me some of it. I do believe that things that we don't think run in the blood, absolutely run in the blood. We don't think of entrepreneurialism as a DNA trait, but I believe it is, right? The it factor, I believe, can be a DNA trait. And so I think having her around and watching her interact and engage with businesses, and then I have that mind. I mean, my mom, like I said, entrepreneur, my dad, my grands on both sides are entrepreneurs. And so there's this strategy brain, I think, that was always in my head. Even when I worked in corporate America, I always thought about, even the sales, right? I always reverse engineered. I started with the end in mind and worked my way back. And so once I left corporate, because I was in pharmaceutical and medical device sales, and I had tons of connections in the medical space. And my doctors that I called on would always kind of ask me for business advice, because I didn't just sell them drugs or devices. I would talk to them about their business, right? How do I help you make more money in your practice. You know, this is what you should do with this in terms of engaging with your patients or engaging with your staff. And so I just parlayed that into a business. And so I used my strategic mind for others and created these models, and it kind of parlayed into several different spaces. I mean, I've done some political strategy work, obviously some business strategy work, media strategy, music. I mean, like, I don't even know how I got in the musical space, but you know, and so it's all built around this being able to think outside of the box, sometimes within the box parameters, and just kind of put things together. It's, you know, when I had my medical practice management company, I set up medical practices. My staff would call me Olivia Pope, because all they would do is call with problems all day long, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Michelle's about to pope them. She's gonna pope them." What's she gonna do? And you know, I have clients right now that this chick, she reaches out to me on Instagram from time to time. She's like, "What's up, Olivia?" So
that is so
it's
funny.
Hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious.
And it's funny, you have a Olivia Pope-esque voice, actually.
Oh my gosh. Kerry Washington has a little bit of something in there, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She has a little bit. Her voice is just slightly higher than yours, but yeah, there's some similarities there.
I got some bass going on in here for sure. Some raspy bass.
Yeah. That's why I said she's a little higher. I wasn't going to call it out though, but you called it out. So God bless you. I can call out the similarities, but the difference is I was going to leave that part on you. I said she was higher. That was enough. But definitely similarities in some degree of timbre. Well, I think that is absolutely incredible, from the authorship to the TV to the radio to the way that you have definitely continued to expand your brand. And I think the book itself is also fascinating. And I think it resonates, especially in this season of, well, we're leading up to Father's Day. Mother's Day just passed, but the seasons of parental celebration. I do hope everyone goes out and gets the book. Where can everyone buy the book?
Oh, thank you for that. I would love if people went to my website and bought it at author MichelleTaylorWillis.com, or you can just go to my website, MichelleTaylorWillis.com, and buy the book. But you can get it anywhere. It's on Amazon. It's literally international. So you can go to any bookstore, you can go to any place online, and you can find the book. But I make more money if you buy it directly off the website.
Of course. Fantastic. And where can everyone follow you if they don't already know?
Yeah, I am at Michelle Taylor Willis on just about everything. I kept it really easy for me and for you guys as well. At Michelle Taylor Willis on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I think it's at Michelle T. Willis on Twitter. I need to see who has Michelle Taylor Willis on Twitter. That's kind of messed up now that I think about it. But yeah, and then of course on my website, MichelleTaylorWillis.com. You can watch the TV show on the VTV network, which is on Amazon Fire and Roku. And we've added a couple of new platforms as well. I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but it's huge. So you can see the TV show just about anywhere. Over the Top with Michelle Taylor Willis airs or broadcasts every Wednesday at 4, right here in Atlanta on Real 1100 AM, or live on iHeart Radio. The podcast is on every single podcast platform you can think of. Over the Top with Michelle Taylor Willis. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I will say that several episodes of our TV show has gotten several million views. So definitely your content is definitely being consumed, and we look forward to continue seeing it.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love the cover. You did an amazing job with it. You guys made me look really good. I'm pretty impressed.
Well, we had a good canvas to start with. Natural Michelle. So please check out the cover, everyone. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Does anyone still believe in paradise?